Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. Compressed week, Patriots-Jets, Thursday night. So we're just going to allude to the Patriots' big win in Tampa. We're going to take a 30,000-foot view, and then we're going to get into the Jets. Where are the Patriots' heads at on this particular day?
Mike, have you learned anything about this short week, either as a player or a coach, that kind of gives you an idea of what's best for your team? Or is each one different?
Well, I mean, I think you just, instead of just running around here telling everybody it's Thursday, that's about it. It's about all you can do. And I've tried to do that to the best of my ability so far today. Just try to get physically recovered the best that we can. Tough game on the road, so we'll try to do that and then just keep reminding everybody it's Thursday.
So, short week, we're going to take a wider look at the Patriots after 10 games and where they are headed as they dive into this game with the Jets. And we look ahead because we can. Okay? A lot of people talking about, don't get too far ahead of yourself here, but we're going to get too far ahead of ourselves. Right here, take a look at this. This is the AFC conference standings. You see the Patriots at 8-2, the Colts at 8-2. They are side by each. The Patriots really with a much more impressive win than the Colts win in Germany, where they came back to win at the buzzer in overtime. You look at that, and then the Patriots' upcoming schedule. Baltimore, obviously an issue. Bills could be an issue, but they are banged up to a fare thee well. The Jets on Thursday, the Jets again later on. The Dolphins, who stink regardless of what they did to the banged-up Bills. Phil, Patriots at 8-2 are probably playing better than any team in the American Football Conference. They haven't laid an egg yet, so this is real. This is not smoke and mirrors. National pundits, even if they want to temper their expectations, we're getting the ground-level view. We can tell this is a not smoke and mirrors team. 13-3 is attainable, and I think 12-5 is highly reasonable.
Boy, it just sounds so ludicrous when you say it that way, because all of those numbers seemed ludicrous before the season began. I can remember talking to our friend, poor Taylor Kyles, before the season began. I think he had him for 13 wins right off the bat.
No,
and he was laughed out of every room he walked in for about 2 weeks. And he might be more right than any of us. So shout out to Taylor Kyles from CLNS. But that's just the kind of year it's been. They have exceeded all expectations, and for me, it continues to come back to the coach and the quarterback. Big picture, I think what made Sunday's win a really important one for the Patriots was that it was not necessarily all quarterback-driven. There have been games this year, Tom, that they've won where Drake May has played almost flawlessly. I don't think he had a turnover their first 4 wins of the season. Mm-hmm. That was not a flawless performance. He had some jaw-dropping plays, but he completed about 50% of his passes. He had a pick at the end of the game that could have changed the game. But they got contributions from up and down the roster. And while we're just speaking to these crazy thoughts that are now popping into our minds for this team here in 2025, it is a little reminiscent of 2001. They're getting a little bit of everything from everybody on this roster. Elijah Ponder comes up with a sack. Kyrus Tonga's playing fullback. Marte Mapu's making a big play that, changes the game in some small way. So every corner of that locker room is chipping into what they're doing right now.
And that's what's, and there is elevation from the players who are being asked to elevate. Now, if you look at this game and you want to caveat the Tampa Bay game and nitpick it, you can say, well, okay, they scored 28. They scored 1 on basically the Bucs weren't minding their gap. Actually, another one when the Bucs weren't minding their gap. There's 14. They also had a touchdown at the end of the half that they were razor close to not getting. So if you want to look at that and say, boy, they're living on the edge, it wasn't as impressive as it seemed to be. And I'm not doing that because going on the road after, as Vrabel pointed out, 10 straight weeks of games, the 10th game in a row. And that is something, too, when you play that many games in a row and no Thursday night game. If you want to nitpick the win, have at it. But I think if you look at the statistics the Patriots have compiled, and they have played a weak schedule, but a lot of teams are playing weak schedules because when you scrutinize how teams have gone, they're not as impressive now as you would have thought at the beginning of the day. But I wanted to do this stats check. Mentioned it on Sunday in the Aftermath pod, but let's take a closer look. Here are the Patriots' touchdowns and their opponents. They're up by 10, 32-22. Third down percentage. I'm always a huge third down conversion guy. They are 42%, holding opponents to 34. That's third in the league. Fourth down, and the Patriots don't have just a few fourth down attempts. They are 80% to their opponent's 33. The Patriots are 12 for 15 on third down. It's big. You're extending drives, keeping the ball out of the hands of the opposing offense. 117 rushing yards per game. That's not the best in the league. It's mid-tier, but 79 yards per game rushing. That's number one in the league. Scoring, 256 to 192. Yards per attempt in passing, 8.38. Second in the league. Defensively, yards per attempt rushing, fourth in the league at 3.7. What are these stats telling you? Now, I will add in, there's two tough stats the Patriots have. That's goal to go and red zone for themselves, goal to go and red zone especially. Defensively, they could be better. So those are bottom of the league. Which one of these after 10 games, Phil, translates the most for you and will translate for the next 7 games and into the playoffs, however long those go?
I think it might be the last two. I just have a lot of faith in this Patriots rushing defense. They have been maybe the most consistent part of this team, specifically about the defense for sure, all season long. And so I think that travels. I think especially the later into the season you get, that will continue to be effective. I think that's just part and parcel with what you get with a Mike Vrabel coach team. His Tennessee Titans teams, as long as they were healthy, they were really good against the run too. So that's what they're going to be about for a long time. I also look at just the yards per attempt number for Drake May. His DNA is to push the ball down the field and pick up chunks. I think he's going to continue to be that guy as the season moves forward. I am very interested to see how it looks when the weather gets cold and they start to play some better defenses whenever the playoffs roll around, but we're months away from that.
You know, it's funny. We had our show email for early edition on Monday, and Michael Hawley and I were also talking as the game went on, as we do. I love watching the game with Michael Hawley every single Sunday, or Thursday as it'll be this week. And I said, this looks like a Brady offense today. It looked much more underneath throws, quick throws, middle of the field throws. And the only reason I make that observation is I think that Sunday's game, even though it had high yards per attempt, 16 for 31, but still like 280, that was buttressed by a 54-yard reception down the field and a 31-yard or two. But I think they're already starting to tailor the offense for that. That's just a side note. Keep your eyes, for you guys who've watched the Patriots for a long time, are you starting to see some similarities between the Patriots and what Josh McDaniels would do then and now?
Can I just give you a very quick number?
Please do.
As we're talking numbers, just to
it proves
buttress that point.
Yeah, okay. We're buttressing the hell out of
Drake May completed, this is from Next Gen Stats, 5 of 7 passes for 126 yards and a touchdown on intermediate throws, 10 to 19 air yards. That was the Tom Brady range. If he wasn't checking it down, most years, of course, 07, some other years maybe aside where he's pushing it a little bit deeper, it was that short to intermediate range, and that was where a lot of Drake May's attempts went. We know he had the big play down the field to Hollins at the end, but for the most part, including even the long catch-and-run touchdown to Kyle Williams, that was middle of the field, intermediate range, down the field, something you have to do against a blitz-heavy team like Tampa Bay.
What's the characteristic that makes the Patriots better? I have one in mind here. I'm going to share it with you people. I think it's team speed. Team speed. Think about it on Sunday's game. You had Caleb Chase on, a different kind of edge rusher coming off the edge, making 2 big plays. Elijah Ponder, not a huge – he was fast. I don't care. I don't know what his numbers are coming out of college, but he got after Baker Mayfield.
Explosive
quickly.
Athlete.
Travion Henderson, we saw him twice. Kyle Williams saw him once. Drake May is one of the faster quarterbacks in the league. Demario Douglas is a fast player. So we're seeing team speed. Bobby Spillane is a faster linebacker than the Patriots have been using. Milton Williams is a faster interior player. Kyrus Tonga, for a 300-pounder, is a fast and ridiculously powerful individual. But you look at the safeties even. Hawkins and Woodson are different types of safeties than Peppers and Duggar. I think that if you said, why are the Patriots getting so much better? Why are they a more exciting team to watch? They have gone out and found speed, and their speed is from their young players too, which portends and buttresses the idea that it will be a team that can be good for a while. This isn't just old guys coming in and helping out.
I like that point that you make about this maybe being something that can be sustained, the speed element, especially on offense, especially with these younger guys, because I think a game like that for Kyle Williams, for Travion Henderson, that can really do a lot for them just confidence-wise. And maybe now when they do get the football in games future, they'll be able to make those types of explosive home run hitting plays that, quite frankly, they're going to need. Like the best teams in football, it's no mistake, are also often the most explosive teams in football. Those aren't luck. Just because you don't see them all the time doesn't equate to luck. It means you have these special physical talents that can be leveraged in this way. And so I do think it is one of the reasons why they're better. It's interesting to me because for so long, Tom, we thought the Patriots here, when they were winning Super Bowls, they had a team that reflected what the region was about, and specifically where in the region and where in the country the team plays. Right? Your most important games are going to be played in the cold of December and January. You got to be able to play that style that meshes well with that kind of weather. Does speed mesh with the kind of weather they're going to be getting down the stretch here? Can you see these guys breaking off 50 and 60-yard touchdowns in January in Foxborough? That is something that we haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of here in New England for really successful teams.
No, what's a sloppy, rainy, 38-degree game in December going to look like? Because you don't often get the snow and the sleet. You might get it, you might not. You might go years without having one of those really ugly games or a wind game. But will you have tough underneath receivers to still be able to throw the football?
We have a
Matt
run game.
Collins, Stephon Diggs. Yeah, I mean, that are there Julian Edelman and David Givens, the first big guy that I thought of. David Givens and Keyshawn Booty remind me of each other, but that's a different story.
I like that.
But I do think the team speed, and I want you to either tell me I'm right or don't say anything
or keep
at
your
all.
mouth shut.
It's team speed. Team speed is a characteristic.
It's great. But it's but even you would say the driving factor as to why they're better is the quarterback play.
He's fast.
It's not because he's fast. It's
But
helpful that he's
portion
fast.
of his game.
He has taken this offense to another level, in my opinion, because of his ability to extend plays, which sometimes includes speed, but it's primarily his accuracy. And
I agree.
Even though he only completed 50% of his passes the other day, the big throws that he made were incredibly accurate.
His arm and his brain are more important than his legs, but his legs are sometimes the catalyst for his brain and arm to even be used.
True.
All right,
Agreed.
Let's move on to the Jets. Jets, winners of 2 straight. They won Sunday thanks to 2 special teams touchdowns against the moribund Cleveland Browns. They got 54 yards passing from Justin Fields on 11 attempts. 42 of those yards came on a dump-off to running back Breece Hall. Let's listen to Aaron Glenn, Jets head coach, talk about the quarterback decision this week.
Oh, I would say this. Please don't ask me anything about the quarterback, because I'm not going to tell you, and I don't want to waste my time when it comes to that. When it comes to who's starting. Well, I keep telling you guys, between the players and myself, we know exactly who's going to be the quarterback. I mean, I just don't have to tell you guys that.
Uh-oh, Patriots don't know if it's Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor. What do you think?
You don't think that's key proprietary information that they are withholding there in New Jersey?
They're going to want to know, and I'm sure they're going to start Justin Fields because they just won 2 in a row. But,
Wasn't exactly because of Justin Fields.
No, it's because of a couple special teams touchdowns, and the Browns stink out loud.
They are last in the league in passing yards per game.
By a lot.
The Jets are. They are averaging 143.8 pass yards per game. That is almost 20 yards less than the 31st team in that category, which is the explosive Tennessee Titans.
Ew. Boy, I got to say it one more time, too. Talking about passing offenses. I've been sitting here telling you people, look out for Denver. Look out for Denver now. They stink. Holy crap. And I'm sure that Thursday was not the best representation of that team and that offense. But that was disgusting. I didn't know that Bonix was that bad. It's one word.
I really
Bonix.
appreciate what you just did with him, Bonix.
One concern I have is that the Bucs were kind of effective on the ground. Breece Hall is a good back. And also, so that's a concern that I have for Thursday. And also the injuries to Stevenson, Jennings. Henderson got his leg bent. I know he finished the game and had a long run, but it's the kind of thing that might be a little bit sore. Booty as well, Barmore. Short week, Phil. Are those two concerns we can talk about? Because I thought that, I thought Tampa felt good about. I know they felt good about their own rushing attack on Sunday and what they were able to do, even though it wasn't over the moon, ripping runs off. Listening to their post-game press conferences, they thought they were effective.
Yeah, I think for this Patriots defense, you hope that Christian Barmore's healthy and good to go. He was able to return to the game after dealing with a little bit of a back injury. You hope that Milton Williams continues to play well. You hope that maybe Elijah Ponder can give you something, and they should. This is the kind of game where your front, if they've got their legs underneath them on a short week, I think could not only limit the run game and limit Breece Hall and limit Justin Fields as a runner, if he's the one who's starting at quarterback, but you also should be able to get after the quarterback in the passing game a little bit more than you have. The Jets are the worst team in football in terms of sack percentage. Over 12% of their dropbacks, they end up in sacks. So they're not number one in terms of volume of sacks, but sack percentage, they are the worst in football. They're also the worst in football in terms of quarterback pressure rate. Almost 50% of their dropbacks result in pressure, 47.8% worst in football.
All right. Moving on to another topic that you guys will enjoy, because I went in depth. I looked at all the game logs for the Jets. Opening drive situations. The Patriots have been permissive, as we know, on opening drives. I'm going to give you some Patriots stats right out of the chute. 75 of the 192 points the Patriots have allowed have come on the first two drives of the game this season. However, the Patriots are outscoring opponents 156-75 in the second and third quarters. Okay, let that sink in. All right. Now,
thank you.
They have a good situation with the Jets. So here's the Jets' first four drives. We'll see if this gets built into a full screen and whether or not you people can read this thing and process what's going on. The Jets, look at that. Steelers, God, first four drives, field goal, touchdown, field goal. It's going to be a great season. After that, Bills, punt, fumble, punt, Bucks, field goal, downs, punt. Dolphins, this thing should be sent to the Louvre. Fumble, field goal, fumble. Cowboys, field goal, punt, fumble. Downs, punt, field goal, punt against the Panthers. Downs, punt, field goal, touchdown. And then against the Browns, offensively, despite the fact they had two returns, punt, interception, field goal. 13 punts, 11 field goals, 5 fumbles, 3 touchdowns, 3 given over on downs, and a pick. And a partridge in a pear tree. It's a season. Phil, you got any worries at all about these idiots?
I'm so hopeful that did not get turned into a full screen, because I want the people to be able to see just how much you enjoyed that entire segment of our show
punt,
here today.
Fumble, punt.
Just nobody entertains himself more than Tommy Curran.
Do you know how long it took me to do that? It took a few minutes.
I'm sure, and yet you were reading it as though it was the first time you were seeing it, and got an absolute kick out of it.
Well, I do have Q6 here on the rundown. Concern level with these idiots.
The concern level is it's not with the Jets. It's with the spot. It's because it's a short week. You've played 10 games in a row. This will be number 11. And you've got 3 days. Mike Vrabel, as he mentioned off the top of the show, he's running around telling everybody it's Thursday. And a lot of young guys on this team, guys that haven't dealt with short weeks before, and so they have to lean on information they're getting from people like, Morgan Moses. Will Campbell's talking about trying to pick up tips from somebody like him who's been through it before. So how you handle it, how you recover, those are going to be the kinds of things that allow you to separate yourselves from a team that clearly you're more talented than.
Mm-hmm. I think that Mike Vrabel's pitch should be, okay, we've come this far. We've got 10 games. We got a game at home. We got a short week. Suck it up. I want to treat this like the friggin' Super Bowl, and then I will see you on Monday. You know what? I'll see you Tuesday. Treat it like the Super Bowl. Hit the tape all the way through the tape. Run through the tape. That's what I would say if I was the head coach. All right.
No naps. You think he's a fan of naps this week, actually? Did you get that last week? He was talking about, we can't take a nap. Can't take a nap. We took a nap.
Oh.
Can't do that.
You're talking to the world's biggest fan of naps.
Well, I feel like this week he's got to be a fan
napper.
of naps.
You got two of the biggest nappers in the industry right here.
No doubt.
Couple napping guys.
Love a good nap.
Napping silly. We'll just park our Highlanders side by each out in the parking lot.
I don't know if we've ever done that. That's a little weird to describe it that way, but we both, I'm sure, have taken some great naps in our cars.
Check it out. Here's the 2025 draft order, just to give you an idea of some of the other poop bumps the Patriots were hanging with at the beginning of the year. Titans, Browns, Giants, Jets, Patriots, Jaguars, Raiders. These were the picks, the order they went. Jets, I have them written down again here. I don't know why I have that there. Panthers and New Orleans. 23 total wins among those teams. I have the Jets there twice. Bad job with the draft order. But, and 11 of those wins come from the Panthers and Jags. Basically, the upshot of this is, look at all those poop bums that the Patriots were hanging out with. They have left them behind. Are some cities or organizations doomed to lose? The Giants jettisoning a coach now. Cleveland can't get out of its own way. Both of those teams had one good season. Now they're back to sucking. Throw in Miami and Arizona while you're at it. And the Patriots have had a down 6 seasons, but it almost feels like, okay, that was their dip. That was their down period, their blue period. I look at these teams, and they always suck. And the Patriots, between fortunately being in the 3rd overall position and getting the most durable, certainly, and the best fit to lead a franchise. And I believe that about Drake May, even when I thought he was scattershot. He was the best embodiment of a franchise quarterback in terms of size, toughness, having grown up in a particular way with his dad having played and having 4 brothers and being, as I said at the time many times, he does not complain about anything. Didn't in North Carolina. So I thought he was a great fit. They lucked out. They got him. And he seemed like a consolation prize even, perhaps. Didn't trade down like I thought they ought to. And then they were able to have such a bad season in 2024 that it became impossible for them to bring Gerard back, which dovetailed perfectly with Mike Vrabel, who has turned out to be a perfect fit, still being out of a job after a year off out of Tennessee. So they kept their promise to Gerard, gave him the opportunity to be the head coach. It didn't work out, and they still had the opportunity to hire Mike Vrabel. Great fortune visited on this team in 2 ways. It appears, and yes, I feel terrible for our friend and former co-host of Quick Slants, Gerard Mayo, but if you're a Patriots fan, it worked out somehow for the best.
Oh, there's no doubt they've gotten lucky here.
And
so
all these other teams don't get lucky.
That to me is the question. Is it that they can't get lucky, that they just haven't gotten lucky, or are there elements to those organizations that are preventing them from getting lucky or preventing them from executing sound plans and sound models for successful franchises? I think there are a couple teams on that list. I'm looking at you, Cleveland. I'm looking at you, Jets, and I'm saying, to me, that does not feel like a coincidence.
I'll tell you something,
teams are
too.
always bad.
I was just talking to our boss, Chris Wayland, and one of the aspects of this is, for all the crap that Crafts get from the fan base and people in the media, they do not like to lose, and they loathe to be embarrassed. And they were not going to stand for being a crap team. So to me, ownership has entered into this quite a bit too.
They and that is critical. It's really valuable to have that in ownership. If they ended up with the 4th pick instead of the 3rd pick in 2024,
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, they're still not going to be successful.
Nope, but you're right. You're right, and they should have pulled the plug perhaps earlier on Bill, and maybe they shouldn't have allowed the Brady thing to happen, but I just do think that motivated. I'm not saying that's the reason that they're 8-2 is ownership. Believe me. But I think constantly they have an ownership group who's constantly seeking the way to get better because they're not going to tolerate sucking.
I think you can point to that as to how they obtained Mike Vrabel. You know, again, they luck out that Vrabel's available, but the reason they moved off as quickly is probably due in part to the feelings that you're describing that they don't want to be feeling.
And also, let's not forget the fact that Drake May is playing at the level he is, even if they couldn't control the acquisition of him, is in large part, I would think, due to Josh McDaniels being out of a job and living in Westwood, and them saying, if it comes to pass.
And
they tried
him wanting
everything.
to work for them.
I mean, they
right?
insisted that Bill get an offensive coordinator after 2022. They insisted, and they got Bill O'Brien. That didn't work. They moved on. Okay, we're going to get another one. We're not going to have Alex Van Pelt. We're not going to have Gerard. God bless him. Can't do it. We're going to move on. So I do think that their aggressiveness has been noteworthy. Last item. Brian Daboll has been excused from work for the remainder of the season and the remainder of his life by the New York Giants. They don't want him working there anymore. Josh McDaniels, anyone? Question mark?
Oh.
Question mark? Question mark?
I
Question
thought you
mark?
might be going with Bill Belichick. No?
Would they?
I doubt it, but he's not losing right now, and Josh McDaniels would be
Only
really
'cause
interesting.
It's Monday.
Oh, they're on a little bit of a run there down in North Carolina, down in Chapel Hill. So should Josh McDaniels get a call? Yes, he should. I believe so. I know how it's gone at his previous stops. To me, if you're an owner, you're looking for somebody who can help your young quarterback succeed, and there are very few people on the planet that are not already head coaches who have had as much success with young quarterbacks as Josh McDaniels.
And
Period. End of story.
That's what all these franchises are going to need to wrestle with as they look at McDaniels and see he not only helped foster the greatest career for any quarterback of all time, and yes, he didn't take over until 06, 07-ish, when he was already established as one of the greatest, which he was. But now they're watching this with May, and they have to say, well, okay, he does this, but if you remove him from that role and make him a head coach, will it look like this again, and point to Denver or the Raiders and say, do we want to do that again? So that is, you can Ben Johnson me all you want. There's no way that Ben Johnson or Cliff Kingsbury or any other head coach would be somebody I would say has to be, an offensive coordinator needs to be involved running an offense, running a team instead of Josh. Anyway, we're going to put a cork in this one, folks. I got to go do a TV thingy. But we will talk to you, obviously, Friday. Well, Thursday after the game. You'll have the Aftermath pod. And, of course, Phil will have the next bats. Follow us all season, week long. Bye.
Bye.